Hello friends, and welcome to this week's grocery haul. I am buying groceries for the week to make meals for being on the Weight Watchers MyWWBlue plan. I have lost just over 50 pounds on that plan, which previously was Freestyle, over the last 12 months, no, untrue, 14 months or so. And yeah, I have some different things coming up this week, some different meals I'm going to make, so I thought I would share that with you. A couple of the meals that I'm making this week are out of this cookbook. I've had this for a while. It's Jamie Oliver's Food Revolution. There's some recipes in here that I really love. They are not really geared towards Weight Watchers, but some of them happen to be made based on chicken or fish, or can be lightened up a little bit, and they tend to be really delicious, all the ones that I've tried. So I've mentioned this before, is I tend to plan lunches for the week to take to work. I plan on sort of two big dinners that I make that will sometimes have leftovers. They will have leftovers. And then my partner will cook a couple times per week meals for us. And then we have leftovers. We might go out one night a week. We have some flexibility there. So that is kind of what I shop for. And it's kind of crazy that being one person who is shopping just for like lunches and snacks and like 2 meals, this stuff cost me, well, just over $100, actually significantly more because of one item here, but that's out of the ordinary. Groceries are expensive lately, so especially fresh fruits and veggies. It's kind of crazy. So let's get into it. It's not organized, but I can talk it through as we go. I'll just pick a bag and start with it. This is actually a good one to start with because it'll introduce one of the meals, is that I have some extra lean ground beef, because one of the meals that I'm making is this really, really tasty meatloaf. I'll just show it to you here. This is often my go-to if I'm taking something to a potluck because people really like it. So it's sort of a pot roast meatloaf, and it's cooked in a tomato and chickpea tomato sauce, which is really good. And because I'm on the blue plan, chickpeas are 0 points. So in this recipe, there is points in the olive oil that things are cooked in. In the ground beef, I chose the extra lean just to try to keep it as low points as possible. There are also some crackers that are ground up into it. And I think that is everything in here that has points. So when you sort of put it out over, you know, a number of servings, it's actually not too bad. Now the recipe calls for taking slices of bacon and cooking that on top of the pot roast, or the meatloaf I should say. I don't do that, so that cuts down significantly on points, and otherwise it's a lot of spices, a lot of like paprika, balsamic vinegar, Worcestershire sauce, so lots of that in here that makes it super, super tasty. I'll just try to find the other items for the meatloaf just to show you what I've bought here. So into the meatloaf also goes 1 onion into the meatloaf itself, and then 1 into the sauce. I already have another onion that I bought last week, so I'm using that. These are specifically the kinds of crackers that go into the meatloaf. They actually say like Jacob's cream crackers, but these are kind of the same thing. They're not super low points because they are, you know, very carby, but again, once you put it out over the entire recipe, it's not too bad. There is fresh rosemary in the recipe, so I bought some of that. This cooks in the tomato sauce and just makes it so fragrant and beautiful. As I mentioned, there are chickpeas in it, as well as diced tomato. This is all 0 points, so that's really good. I just went away to grab my phone so that instead of just talking about the points, I can tell you how many points there are in the meatloaf. There's 600 grams of this extra lean ground beef here, which is 24 points. The recipe calls for 12 of these crackers, which are 14 points, and then probably about 2 tablespoons of oil. With all of that put together, this does end up making 6 very hearty servings, which come out to 7.6, so like 8 points per serving, which is really easy to fit into a day. So even though this is a recipe that has oil, that has like crackers in it, that has beef in it, it ends up being pretty good points-wise. And what I will do is, this recipe is also online on Jamie Oliver's site, so I will put a link to it down below in the description. And a couple of other things for the meatloaf so I don't forget. There's Worcestershire sauce in there, which I happened to run out of, so I bought some of that, and also a lemon. And talking about produce being expensive, this lemon was $1. Like, aren't lemons usually like 25 cents or 33 cents or something like that? So expensive lately. And the other recipe that I'm going to make out of this cookbook at some point during the week is chicken fajitas. I tend to like doing Mexican kind of stuff because I find it tends to be low points. But this recipe uses 1 red bell pepper. I ended up buying this pack because basically this was going to be almost the same price as just 1 red pepper. And this way I can add a few more peppers to the recipe, fill it out a bit more, is probably what I'm gonna do, or I'll have some leftovers for my lunch to just take along as cut veggies. It also calls for a red onion, so I picked up one of those, and so far we are at 0 points for this recipe. It calls for boneless, skinless chicken breast. Again, 0 points on the blue plan, but because I'm gonna be making this later in the week and all the chicken I saw had due dates that were by like Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm gonna pop to the store on my way home from work one week and actually pick up the chicken fresh then. The recipe calls for paprika and cumin, which I have already, as well as 2 limes. There's another lime around here somewhere, or at least I hope it didn't fall out of my bag, but I did pick up 2 limes. There is some olive oil to cook all of that in, as well as it calls for either sour cream or natural yogurt. I use 0% Greek plain yogurt for everything. I still have some of it left from last week, so I'll use it in this recipe. The recipe also calls, because it serves 4 flour tortillas, I picked up the WeightWatchers whole wheat ones because they are 2 points each, and those are the lowest points that I could find for tortillas at my store that actually taste good for me. The recipe also calls for cheddar and guacamole, so I picked up some of that. These are going to be the higher point items in the recipe. And finally, the recipe also calls for making your own fresh salsa, and it does that with cherry tomatoes. So I picked up this variety pack of tomatoes because, I don't know, I feel like if you get these kind, there's a little bit more flavor to them. They're kind of a little more like heirloom variety, and then also fresh cilantro, so I picked that up. It also calls for some fresh chili pepper and some different spices and olive oil, which I have on hand. So yeah, this is the recipe for the chicken fajitas, and I think it's gonna be really good. If I can find a public version of this recipe, I will also link it down below. I'd say for the points in here, this actually serves 2. So it'd be 2 flour tortillas, which would be 4 points total, an ounce of cheese, which would make it 8 points total, and then some guacamole, which I'd probably add another, 2 or 4 tablespoons. So I'd make it a 12-point dinner, and then maybe an extra point for the like olive oil spray that I'm cooking stuff in. So 12 to 13 points. It's a little on the heftier side, but I feel like it will be really filling, especially when I add the extra peppers and have the protein from the chicken, and it all just seems really delicious. For my lunches, I still have a bunch of stuff left from last week. I'm really enjoying having the tortilla roll-ups with the Laughing Cow cheese and some 0 point deli turkey and some green onions cut up in it. I still have a lot of that left. I'll use a couple of the leftover tortillas that I don't use during the chicken fajita night. And I did buy some additional green onion, just so I would have some extra of it on hand because I do like it in a lot of things. I also like to have some cut veggies with my lunch, so I picked up some cucumbers so I can have some cucumber sticks. Sometimes I'll have them on their own, or sometimes I'll make a dip. Oftentimes I'll use the 0% plain Greek yogurt and mix it with some like ranch spice that I have. But I also decided this week to pick up some French onion soup mix, because if you've ever made this kind of dip, usually you mix this into like a cup of sour cream, and some people use a little bit of mayo, and then you have a dip. So I'm gonna try mixing this into basically a cup of 0% plain Greek yogurt. It will be 1 point per quarter cup, or if I eat the entire cup's worth of dip, it would be 3 points. So I think it'll be a good low point dip to take along to work with my veggies. I also really enjoy taking yogurt on its own to work, and what I will do is mix it with protein powder to make it quite sweet and flavored and just add an extra punch of protein to it. If you've watched any of my videos over the last couple of months, I've been using the vanilla cake flavored, birthday cake flavored protein powder. I decided to go out and pick up a different variety. So I picked up chocolate peanut butter so I can mix that with my yogurt and have it as a delicious dessert. And this brand of protein powder, the Isoflex, as far as I can see, every flavor is 1 point per scoop. So if you mix a scoop in with like 3/4 of a cup of 0% plain Greek yogurt, it's a super satiating, super high protein snack for just 1 point on the Blue plan. Just a couple of other things. Tonight my partner is making dinner. He's doing some frozen dumplings, and we decided to do some steamed broccoli with that, with a bit of a ginger sauce over top. So bought a crap ton of frozen broccoli. We'll use a little bit tonight, and then I like keeping it on hand to make like a roasted broccoli side dish. I like my coffee in the morning sweetened, and this is by far my favorite sweetener, the Equal brand. It's just always been that way. My dad drinks his coffee with Equal, and I just got into the habit of doing it. So this is the one that tastes best to me. I was running out, so I bought myself some more. And very finally, I was at my Weight Watchers meeting this morning, and somebody was talking about one of their favorite snacks, which happened to be frozen cherries roasted in the oven. She said at about 450 for half an hour. I'm assuming it gets nice and cooked down and kind of jammy. And then she sprinkles some cinnamon and some like vanilla extract on top, and it is a lovely dessert. And that sounded delicious to me. So I bought myself some dark sweet cherries that are pitted so I can try this out as a snack. Oh, and one last thing, I do like to take some fruit in my lunch. So I got myself some apples. I have some other apples still left in the fridge. And that is my grocery haul for this week. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope it gave you some ideas, maybe some tips. Let me know if you like these. I think you guys do. It seems like people are watching them, but let me know in the comments down below or by clicking like on this video. If you've not subscribed to my channel, please consider doing so, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!